Well, welcome back. It's podcast number 2. It's Doug Long with Long Productions, and it's in the red corner. Of course, we have to have red chairs. And today we have a really special guest. It's sports writer and former sports writer of the Scranton Times, Herb Smith. Herb, thank you for coming to podcast number 2.
Well, thank you, Doug. I'm a little insulted that I wasn't guest number 1, but that's okay. I'll forgive you.
Yes, we had to get James Crowley in there from Ireland.
He deserves it, sure.
He deserves it. He has changed it. I do want to say before we start interviewing you, this is the last leg of something that I've been thinking about, working extremely hard since last year, that I would up Long Productions and make it a full-time operation now. And we're changing from being a part-time promoter, full-time operation with Long Productions, and we're really seeing the results. And that kind of that leg to make a solid chair is, the first leg was the venue, getting the hotel rooms, getting the music and the sound, and getting the right venue. And of course now we have 650 people. That's a nice crowd it was. Everybody was comfortable. So leg number 1 is really, really intense my program, and that's what excited me to go full-time and hire more full-time staff members. Of course, leg number 2 was our sponsors. We have 18 continuous sponsors, and we could serve a great VIP dinner. And part of leg number 3 was James Crowley. He has taken the boxers and taken things to a part that I thought about. I've many meetings to get this going, Herb. And leg number 4 is you. As I think you're one of the greatest. I sat next to you for 15 years, and a great sports writer for the Scranton Times. You're actually well known in a lot of high school sports, and maybe you could tell a little bit about Herb with the Scranton Times. When did you start there, and how long have you been writing with the Scranton Times?
Well, I started there in June of 2005. I was actually hired as an obituary clerk, so I started out in obituaries, believe it or not.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and but right from the start, I made it clear that I had an interest in sports, and so right from the bat, they had me helping out with high school football games, covering high school football games, and then in 2009, I moved over to the sports department full time as a writer/clerk. And I covered high school football, high school baseball, high school basketball, and a little bit of NASCAR. And then about a year later, they gave me the boxing beat, and that's when your and my relationship started. The beat belonged to Donnie Collins, who I know you worked with, a great writer. He's still with the newspaper.
Yes.
And at the time, when Donnie had it, boxing in the area was kind of going through a little bit of a slow period. It was maybe one show a year, and Donnie had a lot on his plate already. He was the Penn State football writer. He covered the Scranton Wilkes-Barre baseball team. He was a national columnist, so he had a couple columns a week. But he could manage boxing because it was only one show a year. And then right around that time, you started kicking it into high gear a little bit more, you and Gene, and started putting out a few more shows a year, and it kind of became too much for him. And so they wanted to get the beat off of him. They knew I was a boxing fan, so they kind of gave me the ball and let me run with it. And the rest, as they say, is history.
The rest is history. Wow. And you did some history, too. I remember, I'm just thinking about this now, in one of the shows in the early 90s, because then you sat right next to me in ringside.
Oh, yes.
For all these years.
Yep. And it's funny, I don't even need there's not even a name tag on my seat anymore. There's just the extension cord, because I made the request for my laptop that I needed a power source at my seat, and that's my name tag is the power cord there waiting for me when I get there.
I remember you did some history on me where you were first getting to know me, and you brought an article or a picture of when I was promoting Gene. If you recall.
Yeah, I believe it was at Rocky Glen, wasn't it?
Rocky Glen Park.
Yeah, and
1986.
And
you wanted to make sure I was legit.
Oh, yeah.
Because our promoters, we say a lot of stories.
Oh yeah, and I mean the first time I met you, I think you came down to the Times building, and we sat in the conference room, and you brought in these binders, and it was just decades of history of boxing, and you had posters and things like that, and it was a little overwhelming at first, really. I mean, I'm like, wow, this guy's something else, and I kind of had to ask the other staff members of the sports department, because some of them, again, Donnie and a few others had done some stories with you over the years, and I'm like, again, is this guy for real?
Yeah, I do put a twist on it a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit. Yeah, I document. I have over 160 binders now, and everyone has a story. And I'm glad you brought that up. But I think you were just trying to feel it out, and yeah, the rest is history
Yeah.
on that. You sat ringside through a lot of different
Oh, yeah.
situations with me, and you saw me evolve into now another level here that I can announce to the public, even with you sitting here right now, that four stool thing has changed, and a lot of appearance is getting out there as being really a hell of a production.
Oh, sure.
Like Saturday's production, I just got a call yesterday to possibly bring in the fall. There's events held at the Showboat in Atlantic City, and things have been transitioning downward in Atlantic City. And they called, and we're on a call yesterday. I couldn't really announce it with James, but we're getting very close to signing a contract that an event that was held at Showboat, it's going to be possibly held here in our local community.
Oh, that's terrific. And I mean, because of you, I've been able to cover a lot of cool things. I mean, years ago you brought the Golden Gloves back,
Yes.
and I mean, and so it's because of you that I've been able to have some great experiences being a little part of some of these events. So, I hope it comes through, and I hope I could be there to report on it.
Yes, and I guess you saw the transition with me through the years, getting a little bit better, getting a little.
Sure.
And now this past year, I wanted to make a serious step. But also, Herb, you've watched, different events with me through pricing that was $15 for a pro
Sure.
fight.
Oh, yeah.
$5.
Yeah.
Like we go back that.
Oh,
the
yeah,
pricing.
yeah.
But it's funny, the last 15 years, I only raised the ticket prices the front row, and we've talked about this in the past. I have to be very careful also when I come in with Long Productions with the sponsors. We have to keep the ticket prices to our area. I hate to, it's very important to me.
Sure.
I know what might. Somebody told me today, Doug, how do you know the targeting area that you sell out 657 people a lot? It is our targeting area. It has to do with pricing.
Oh, sure.
I have to be honest with the public that I really keep that in mind through the sponsors, and you understand that.
Oh, sure. And I guess you're the last place that inflation hasn't hit then. But yeah, I mean, and again, that comes from decades of experience. Like you said, your audience, you know what they can afford. You want to make it affordable for somebody to bring their family out to a great event, an evening of entertainment. And you've made that clear over the years that it's not just a boxing show. It's
Right.
the lights, it's everything else that wrapped up into it. It's really a night of entertainment.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. And I do want to circle back, but one thing that you just said, you do make it entertaining. Like, when I came out as a king and a crown thing
Like
on
Caesar.
everything, a Caesar. I take my show so serious. Like I have it scripted in my mind for months, and just every day I'm living here at the Holiday Inn, and every ticket I'm checking with the seats and to make sure everything's. But people see that it's not a quirky. It's entertainment.
Oh, sure.
I want to put smiles on the faces.
Yeah.
I want the kids in the back.
Yeah.
That's my most important goal. Is that they come out to smoke and
Yeah.
the sparklers
Oh, yeah.
and everything. But people see that like it's not just a quirky somebody something. It's they love it. They got used to it.
Yeah, there was. It wasn't this past show. It might have been the Ireland show. You had your grand entrance, and I actually turned to one of the judges, who I believe they're from Philadelphia, right? But they go
Right.
all over the state judging fights. And I said, "Do you have another promoter like this guy?" And he goes, "No, he's different." He said said it with a laugh, and I just kind of had to chuckle to myself about it. But it's the truth.
Yes, yeah, I appreciate that. But I'd like to circle back, Herb. Though you're a great sports writer, a great for boxing, and having you work full time for me on my boxing and be exclusively with Long Productions. Tell us a little bit more about you did NASCAR too, and a little bit of history with yourself, Herb. What did you all cover when you got sports, and did it add on? Has the paper? Did you add more busy schedule, more football, or did you just do football and baseball, or how did that go?
Well, a lot of the time, actually, I would be in the office taking scores and stats over the phone from high school events, and then I would enter the stats in and write up little summaries of the games, what happened. So I was in the office most of the year. I would get out for high school football. That's another reason why I liked doing the boxing was it was a night out, because again, I would usually be in the office 5 nights a week, 10 months out of the year, and But NASCAR was another thing. I'd go with Scott Walsh, who was the motorsports writer, and I would help him out on the NASCAR races. But yeah, majority of it was high school football, NASCAR, and the boxing, and a little bit of cage fighting as well.
The cage fighting too, yes, and the NASCAR. I did not realize you did NASCAR too.
Yeah, and it was funny because I entered it not really as a NASCAR fan, and seeing it live, and getting to meet the drivers and things like that, it kind of made me a little bit of a fan. I follow it now. I don't do the races anymore, but I watched them on TV, and it kind of made me a fan.
Yeah, and I think the team that we put together, the winners are, and this is the boxers.
Oh,
too.
definitely.
The boxers can't get anything like we do with the four-legged stool that I just explained about in the team. The other thing that's really unique that happened with this is I have a great relationship with the Scranton Times. The Scranton Times really gives a lot of respect to what I do. If I set a date and have a production, it never has changed. During COVID, we were 3 to 4 shows where
I remember that.
The turkey brawl.
Yeah.
And then I was the first show. If somebody does that meta, I think that's that new thing with AI.
Yeah.
They look at it. They said that, and I asked the state. I was the first show to bring boxing back, and we had to have
COVID.
the 8 feet.
Right.
Do you remember that? And I had those screens that you had to come in and have your temperature taken.
Yeah, it was crazy time.
Crazy. But getting back to the relationship, what works and is really unique to this is if you go to the Long Productions page in Facebook, of course your stories are labeled Long Productions writer. How did you we word it? No,
I believe it was Long Production staff writer.
Herb Smith.
Yeah.
But now when you go to the paper with the article that was just in Monday, it's Herb Smith.
Right.
Because the relationship, that full circle here that happened with it. How do they accept? They can accept your writings from me, but nobody could just send a story in or something.
No. You can't just submit stories to the newspaper. And the thing is that the sports department knows about the importance of boxing in this area. They just, because of cutbacks, they don't have the staff to cover it anymore. But they want to be able to put it in the paper because they know there's an audience for it. And so because of your relationship with the paper and mine, and me being a former employee there, they know that, again, that you're going to put on a good show. They know that, not to toot my own horn, I'm going to give them a decent story.
Yes.
And they're willing to run it, again, just so they can get those stories out there to the people who are interested.
Wow. So I'm just really excited because you're the last leg sitting here of what I wanted to create as a vision that I've worked so hard for in the last year. We have met several times. I don't want the public to know that just James comes from Ireland to live here, and then you're coming. There's so much behind the scenes that I have thought about and written down, and what do I need to be the best promoter in PA, and have people and promoters or events wanting to come to me and say, could you handle this much of a magnitude of a big show? We're here.
Right. And
we're here.
And having covered boxing all these years, one of the things that I've enjoyed is you can watch the fighters improve and get a bigger following over the years, over several years. And the same has happened with your promotion company. I mean, again, you started out just with the Irish Boxing Club doing some small shows here and there, and now it's expanded, and just to see that growth, and again, just to sort of have a front row seat to it.
Wow, thank you, Herb. And yet I think about that, and I want to attract events here again, but it has to be the right. I have to really. I'll be open-minded to any event. Any event with boxing on a higher level, even, but it has to work here. It has to work with our group because we're not going anywhere. We have a social media guy that's full time with me. In the morning, flips the laptop open and boom, their story's going. We have now our press writer. We have a great venue. Venue's everything. They're hard to come by in the area.
Yeah.
Especially with hotel rooms. Now that hotel room, even with Ireland, they really kind of require the hotel rooms to be on the facility because they don't want the kids to be shuttled in vans to another area to the venue. So there's certain requirements, and that gave gave the door opening for Ireland to come too. So, I'm kind of excited. I can't release a lot of the contracts being signed right now, but I am working closely with the show about Atlantic City that promoters are a little bit disappointed, and organizers, not only promoters that organize some big, this is boxing right now, boxing events, are taking a look at my Facebooks, my social medias, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what I can announce coming up and see what we can do. And so, Herb, you sat next to me for all these years writing. I don't want to close out without saying, is there anything that maybe we could talk about there that strikes you that you could remember some of the stories with boxing, that anything to stick out? I know there's the streaker that streaked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He completely took all of his clothes off.
Yeah.
That was nothing, even socks and shoes.
That was our own, if you remember back in the 90s, the Fan Man, right? With wasn't it Holyfield? Was it Holyfield and Lewis or something? They had the famous Fan Man, or Holyfield and Bo. He dropped out of the ceiling in Las Vegas. That was your Fan Man, was your streaker running through the thing. I mean, yes. I said a long time ago, I told you this, that I've learned not to doubt you, because there's been times, the crazy venues really is what sticks out. I mean, you put a boxing ring in the middle of Adams Avenue in downtown Scranton. And you call me up and you're like, this is the plan. I'm like, really? No? Yeah, that's sure enough. I get there and the night of the show, and it's all set up and we're going, and or there was
Higgins. I think you went to Higgins to cover some of that.
Right.
And Pottsville.
There was another show in West Scranton that was outdoors, and that was actually on my birthday. I remember I was like, I'm covering boxing on my birthday, and that was one of the first outdoor shows I had done. And again, I was like, I don't know if he's gonna pull this off, and then there it was, and the shows at the Radisson,
the Radisson, just about every venue. Yeah, we did the Radisson at the train station canopy.
Right.
The thing that was, my God, we loved that.
That was
amazing.
that was such a cool venue with the
cool venue, very hard setup, no chairs, no power, no nothing. It was like just going out in the middle of the field on that. So,
but I did want to mention, when you were talking about the Holiday Inn, I want to give them some props too, because again, like, you were at Genetti's for years, and that was a great venue. But this, I mean, it's great because again, you have the rooms there for the out of town fighters, but you have that bar outside with the that's a great VIP setup
at the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, at the Holiday Inn here, right? Yeah, exactly. Right here, yeah, yes. I mean, it was a bad situation. You lost Genetti's because they were closing, and you just sort of found a great alternative, that just sort of fits everything you need.
Yeah, and I was happy to see that number at 657, because I really wanted to see what my max comfortably was, and we were hitting that max point with it.
Oh, yeah.
But Herb, I thank you for coming out. We really, for the boxing fans in Northeastern PA, please tune into this. We just dumped all that's in my mind that I'm working on contracts and the next event. Of course, the next event we did announce, we are set and contracted for June 14th. Gloves and Glory,
and I'll be there ringside with my
extension
cord. With the
extension cord sitting right next to me.
Yep.
That's God-given. That's good spirituality that God has placed us still leaving. Because I was in shock when you leave. I was like, you can't leave beside by me. You sat next to me for all these years.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, it's given me a chance to because I still enjoy writing.
Yes.
And so it's given me kind of an outlet to still do it now and then. So scratch that itch a little bit. I still you don't lose that. It was something I loved, something I did for all those years. So I still get to do it. So I enjoy it.
Yeah, and print writing, and I'd like to do more print writing, and we'll have you do more with the boxers.
Sure.
Because print writing.
I love telling the boxer stories. There's the boxing. Not everybody can do it, and it takes a special kind of person to get in the gym and go through all that and get in the ring. And so they all have a great story, and I just like telling them, like meeting these people with an interesting story and sharing their stories, with the public.
Yes, great. And Herb, I want to thank you. The public and the second podcast, we talked about a lot of good stuff in a short amount of time, and I appreciate you coming out to our second podcast. And I want to thank you for coming. It's Herb Smith, former Scranton Times writer. And I'm thrilled that I've had Herb the opportunity to sit and talk some history and our future goals. Herb will be with the Long Productions as the boxing sports writer and continue on full-time with me as the boxing sports writer. And I'd like to thank you for tuning in. And again, it's Doug Long with Long Productions in the red corner. Keep punching with Doug Long and Long Productions.